This is our lab, and I hope that we have the opportunity to do many, many laboratory experiments this year. But before you can walk into the lab, you have to know how to stay safe. The very first thing, before you walk into lab, you need to go to that green cabinet. This is the goggle cabinet. And inside this cabinet, you will find chemical splash goggles. Now, I know everyone's not excited about wearing chemical splash goggles, but it's much more important that you're able to see when you leave my class and that you haven't had your eyes seriously injured than the discomfort and annoyance of wearing goggles. These are required. Anytime we are using heat, glassware, or chemicals, you must wear goggles at all times, covering your eyes. Your forehead doesn't need it, your eyes do. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to grab some lab goggles. Depending on what the lab is, you may also need a lab apron. Lab aprons are located to the right of the fume hood. So this box with the sliding glass window is a fume hood. It draws any sort of noxious vapors out of the room if I use that for an experiment. And our lab aprons hang off to the side of it. And you'll notice there's a little plastic bag full of hair ties in case you forget to tie back your long hair and you don't have a hair tie. So lab aprons are off to the right, and these are kind of your first level of protection in the lab. They're gonna help keep the chemicals off of you. Now, some other lab safety equipment that you need to be aware of is on the wall by the door. There's a fire extinguisher and there's a fire blanket. Really, I should be the one using the fire extinguisher. They have a very short window of opportunity to use them. And so it's really easy to use them up. So that's primarily for me, the teacher. And then that fire blanket right there, the fire blanket right here, you simply pull down on the handle, and this is a tightly woven wool blanket that can be used to smother a fire. Heaven forbid, should someone's clothes catch on fire, or there's a trash can fire or some other small fire, this is really helpful and oftentimes actually a better answer than the fire extinguisher. So this fire blanket is here. Now, should there be a fire in lab, the first thing you need to do is you need to shout. You need to let someone know. And then if it's clothing that's on fire, just like you learned in elementary school, whoever is on fire needs to stop, drop, and roll. You don't want to run. That just fans the flames. And so either myself or your lab partner, we will get the fire blanket to smother any flames that should be going on. Now, as long as you are following safety procedures correctly as specified in the lab itself, and you're using common sense, you should never have a situation where we need either of these safety pieces of equipment. So most important is to be safe and have common sense and follow the directions that you are given. But should we need them, we have these. A couple other safety procedures and safety protocols that you need to be aware of. At the back of the room is a shutoff valve for the gas. And so I try to keep that off unless we're actually doing a lab that involves the natural gas, like Bunsen burners or something else with the natural gas, because we simply want to prevent any problems from occurring. But if you're ever using a Bunsen burner and it won't turn on and won't light, ask me if I've turned the gas on. Okay, we have one other kind of big safety piece of equipment, and that's right over here. This is the eye wash and safety shower. Should you get chemicals on your skin that are significantly hazardous, we need to get them off. And so if they're in your eyes, we're gonna take off the goggles. If you have contact lenses, we're gonna remove the contact lenses. And then we're gonna use this eye wash station. So the covers come off, and there's a handle right here. You push on that. Copious amounts of water. Now, if you wear your goggles, you should never have to use the eye wash station. The eye wash station is designed, again, to remove chemicals that get into your eyes. But of course, we want to not have to remove them. We want to keep them from getting in your eyes in the first place. So please make sure that you wear your goggles. If something should get into your eyes, your body's natural reaction is to squint and close the eyes tight. This makes it really hard to actually wash them effectively. And to see how to get to the safety shower or to the eye wash. And so your lab partner or myself will help guide you to the eye wash station and help you hold your eyes open while we rinse those. Above the eye wash is the safety shower. This would be used in case of a large spill. If you just get something on your hand, you just wash it off in the sink. But this would be used in case of a large spill. You pull downward on this handle. I'm not pulling it because there's no drain in the floor. If we ever need it, I'll mop the floor. I'm not worried about it. But we don't pull this just for giggles. But this delivers large quantities of water to rinse and thoroughly rinse the area off. And recognize if it's on clothing and under clothing, we will make sure that we can, in a private way, get that clothing off in order to thoroughly rinse the skin to avoid any sort of permanent damage. But again, if you're following the instructions and you're using common sense, you should never, ever need the safety shower. This is only as a backup. It's an important backup, but only as a backup. So once you're ready to behave safely in lab, you have your goggles on, you have your lab apron on, you know where the safety equipment is should you need it, then you're going to have a lab station where you're going to be working. And so each lab station has a sink with some soap, and then it has a drawer full of glassware and other equipment. And every individual or group will have a lab station to work at. Shared materials and community materials are typically found on the center table, and the balances are on the back table in the lab. When you are working in lab, the most important thing is to think. Think before you act. Ask questions if you have them, and let myself know if there's a problem or if there's something you're uncertain about. I want you to be able to learn tremendously from what we do in lab, to have a chance to apply what we're talking about on paper to real life. I mean, that's what this is all about, is explaining things in the world around us and explaining things in real life. In order for you to do that, and do that safely, the most important thing is that you're using your common sense and that you're following instructions.